Before you get started with the taps, you have to realize that what you're really doing is imitating the snare drum, which occurs in popular music on beats 2 and 4. That constant 2 and 4 snare drum beat in popular music produces what is known as the backbeat. It's what gives the music motion or that danceable feel. So therefore, we're going to apply that same rhythmic concept to the guitar. Is realizing that your hand really doesn't have to do a lot of work. The hardest part about the taps is to realize that you really don't have to work that hard to get the sound to come out. Basically, all you have to do is let your fingers fall back to the strings after you strike a chord. Now, I'm going to be striking the chord mainly with my thumb, index, middle, and ring fingers, meaning I'm going to get 4 notes out of each chord. After I strike the chord, then I bring my hand down without forcing it down, and it's going to produce a click sound. Similar to that. Now, on a nylon or classical style guitar, the clicks come out much easier, and you have to lighten up a little bit on those or it will be too overbearing in terms of what you're playing. I'll bring my hand up about 2 or 3 inches from the strings, and when I bring my hand back down, you'll hear the clicks. Basically, what you're hearing is the string tapping off of the last fret on your guitar. Well, let's just do open strings and then bring down a click. So what I would like you to do is put your thumb on string 6, your index on string 3, your second finger on string 2, and your third finger on string 1. So what I'd like to do is just to do open strings. Take your hand, put your thumb on 6, your index on string 3, your middle finger on string 2, and your ring finger on string 1. Now strike the chord, meaning let your fingers flex together. What you don't want to do is pull away. That's an E minor sound. Let your fingers flex into each other. It's almost like you're closing your hand up. You will get plenty of sound. Now what we'll do is strike and let our hand come down. And we're not going to produce a click yet. Just the action of your hand coming down sometimes is the hardest part of the process. I'm now going to bring my hand down a little harder. I'm actually intentionally hitting too hard now. When you come back down to strike the chord again, you want your fingers to be slightly open, because that's where the fingers will hit the strings and produce the tap. Because really your thumb is hitting on the 6th string, your other fingers are hitting where they typically belong on the top strings. Then you get the tap sound. I'm going to play a C add 9 chord, and I'm going to add a tap to it. Don't expect this process to happen right away if you've never done it before. You may have to work a little bit, and it can be a little bit frustrating if you don't get the correct sound. Your sound may be too loud or too soft, or you may not get any tap at all. If you work hard at it, you should have no problem getting it in about a day's time. If you think of the beat, 1, 2, 4, 2, 4. Remember I was telling you about the snare drum beating on 2 and 4 in popular music. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a real straight beat. Not a whole lot of excitement with that beat. Now when you start to throw in little jazzier rhythms, and notice I've jumped ahead a couple steps and I'm actually doing a different rhythm. I'm doing thumb, chord, tap. Notice that I'm doing thumb on the bass note, upper strings, chord, tap. So it's 1, like that. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. Even at that slow tempo, I'm tapping on 2 and 4 again. you notice, my fingers came down right on top of the strings, pretty much in this position, the same position I used to strike the chord. I don't go up into a fist, I don't open my hand, I keep my fingers pretty much where they should be. Let me now play from C to G to give you more of a feeling of a chord progression. If you watch my arm pulls out a little bit, enough to come down to produce the click. I'm going to add more chords now. That was just C to G, and let's do C, G, A minor, D. In case you don't know these chords, C, add 9, G, D, F sharp, you spin around and split, because you have an F sharp in the bass, E minor. Notice I've not moved these two fingers. This is something I teach students early to do so you can get the more modern sounding chords. Now my right hand, if you notice, I was pulling away from the strings further than I typically would if I was playing in a real live situation. I was doing that to give you an example of how your hand comes down onto the strings. Practically every new acoustic song that comes out has some sort of tap rhythm in it. It produces a much more defined rhythm than I think sometimes a pick. Briefly, let me show you how it works with a pick, how the technique would be slightly different. You'll still strum with a pick, but what you're going to do different is you're going to come down more to the top of the string. So if I do a C chord and strum, my hand comes down. The sound is really produced by this part of my hand and at times the pick itself. Instead of my thumb hitting the bottom string, the 6th string, and having it tap off of the last fret, it's really, at times, my pick hitting the string and tapping it off of that last fret. Things up, just remember that this is a very important technique. It's used a lot. Go slowly. If you rush it, you're going to end up with a really sloppy technique of tapping. Don't do that. Take your time. Just remember, when you're learning a new guitar technique, every day you'll get better and better at it, and then it will be yours forever. I hope you liked the video. I hope it helps you, and remember, like, subscribe, and comment. Catch you soon. I will see you soon. I will see you guys soon with another lesson.